Karl, very nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. I've been talking to Angie for many years, and she comes here every quarter. We really have a lot to talk about today. Um, why don't we start with talking about the trade deal with China? We've had a breakout in the bean market, and I've heard commentary on this, and you're on the ground. Do you guys grow beans anymore? Are you growing stuff still, Carl?
Um, are we growing?
Yeah.
No, we're not farmers.
Oh, okay.
Um,
All right. So you just
no, we're not farmers. We're consultants.
okay. I were you ever in your family or anything? Nope. Just grew up
No.
there and learned about the hedging side of the business to help people out to lock in profits on their crops. So, all right. Why don't we start with what your impressions are of the deal with China and what people are saying on the ground? Are beans being moved to China since the agreement? Because I heard it's only a promise.
Well, and that's really what it is. I mean, this is basically the framework for an agreement. We do not have a signed trade deal with China, and that seems to be a misconception that's going out
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
China was in and bought three cargoes of soybeans before Secretary Bessent announced that the framework had been agreed upon, and they bought four vessels afterwards. So we have a total of seven vessels we've sold China. But the thing is yesterday they came into the Brazilian market and bought 10 vessels for December shipment and 10 vessels for January shipment. So
Yeah.
the deal is, China is back to buying, but the
The
downfall
volume's
of that
lower.
agreement,
The volume's much lower
yeah,
than it
the
would have.
the
Yeah.
the overall volume is not where we were before we saw the trade deal,
Okay.
the trade war
Before
escalate.
before the trade war, China was coming, even though there was tension, they were still coming through and buying beans from the U.S. They were also buying from Brazil too, but this deal doesn't even get us back to, even if they fulfill it, to where it used to be.
Correct. And
Oh, okay.
that is the greatest that's the biggest drawback,
Yeah.
to the entire agreement is just that it really didn't give us more of a market share. Since then, now China this morning announced that they would be suspending tariffs on all U.S. products except soybeans. So we still continue. We have a lot of hurdles that we have to clear to get China's trade back to really where it was before we even consider building it, and that's going to be a little tough right now.
Okay. So, there have been stories, your boots on the ground, financial condition of bean farmers uh, post-harvest. I mean, through the harvest. What are they? Are they in trouble? Are a lot of them going to lose their farms because of this? Is it
No,
causing? No, it's just going to be
no.
a lean year.
Well, the thing is, we don't know what kind of a year it's going to be because we just started the marketing year. China can come in and buy yet. We've seen rallies, in the market. So, we're really only, a month and a half into the new crop marketing year here.
Okay.
To say that we're not going to sell soybeans, this and that, there's a lot of groups out here really making the soybean situation worse than what it is. I mean, when you look at the balance sheets, Dale, you look at a U.S. stocks to use right now that 290 million bushels. We're in a rationing position on new crop soybeans. So when we look at that, you got to ask yourself how much extra demand do you really need? And our export sales outside of China are up from last year. So bottom line is we're really not, we're not behind on our soybean demand. We're only behind on our demand to China. Our crush is up, everything else is up on soybeans, and China is still buying. Like I said, we just said they were in the last week and bought some. So I don't see the publicity that this has been getting and how negative this is on the soy complex has been a little bit overblown this year.
Well, the market doesn't believe the negative story. I mean, this was a breakout long in the making on beans. So it was almost a 2 year base before we came out of here. Well, this low was, well, a year, August 24. And when we finally cleared these levels, it's a breakout till it's not, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
I think, and the thing is, soybeans were undervalued, but they would have been, I think soybeans were undervalued regardless if China was buying or not,
Right.
just from the simple stocks to use in the market balance sheets. Now, if we do start trimming demand, we have a different story, but we also have to remember that the USDA is going to update our balance sheets on the 14th, and that'll be the first adjustment in 2 months. We don't have to see our demand go up to create a bullish story in soybeans. We can leave our demand where it is. We could even cut exports a little bit, but if we see that yield start to drop, just a bushel per acre yield cuts our carryout by 60%. And we're already in a rationing position. So
Okay, so explain rationing to our audience. What to them rationing is, food ration,
yeah,
gas ration. What do you mean by rationing? Rationing
and
to who?
yeah, we see on our soybean carryout for right now, for example, new crop carryout, 290 million bushels. That's about a 4 to 5% stocks to use ratio. When we get that tight, we start to get concerns that we may deplete or cut our new crop balance sheets, our new crop carryout on soybeans too far. And so we need to cut back and ration out our demand. We need to slow demand, and you do that through higher prices, price rationing. You have to raise your soybean values, or any product, really, any commodity. The price has to rally or appreciate enough to where demand starts to slow so you have adequate reserves.
Right.
We aren't really at that point yet. We have not rationed our demand. Our soybean crush continues to run at record values for biodiesel demand in the United States.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have a lot of buyers showing up for our product. Mexico buys quite a bit of soybeans from us. We've seen big global trade on the soybeans.
How about
Um,
Canada? Did Canada used to, and now they don't because of the trade friction?
we never really sent a lot of soybeans into Canada because they have such a large canola crop. So
I got it. Okay.
we really don't trade too many soybeans with Canada. We trade some corn to Canada, and Canada is still buying that.
Okay.
But our big trades with Canada, lumber, textiles, products such
Right.
as that.
Okay.
Vehicles is a huge one.
Okay. So when I was seeing all these stories about, 70% of farmers, they weren't bean farmers. They were rice farmers. They had different types of crops. And then we had another farm aid, which reminded me of that era when family farms were going away. Isn't there distress in other areas outside of where you guys are in the Midwest for farmers that are bringing in the wrong crop and they can't sell it? And what
Well,
would that be?
I'm not seeing. I mean, you can
So
sell
there's
your
no
crop.
duress in agriculture in the grain belt.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, you have that every year. There's always going to be financial stress. There's always going
Right.
to be issues with crops. As
But
far as this,
it's not really, it's not widespread like a lot of these news stories. have shown how widespread it is. Where there you would see a bunch of farmers saying, that this uh, trade deal ruined them. They can't move their crops. Some were just letting it go. And the input prices went up. So that was just maybe hyping the fact because there were a lot of people that voted for President Trump that were upset that now because of the trade war. Um, I'm just trying to reconcile what's out there on the media to someone who knows what's going on, and I'm hearing a different story from you, Karl.
I this is my opinion on it, Dale. It's a tough year. It's been a tough year. I mean, when corn is holding around, that $4 mark and soybeans were at $10, those are
Yeah.
below break evens for most people.
Okay.
What I would say is these reports of this, nobody's going to buy our crop. We can't get reverse. So those are so far blown out of proportion.
Okay.
And it's all back to the American Soybean Association. They have ran ad after ad that farmers can't get rid of their soybeans, and it's completely false. That is some of the most hyped up propaganda I have ever seen come out of an organization who, rather than try to help farmers or point out the real story, just really tried to make it look horribly negative for everybody and really kind of did the farmer a disservice. Is it tight? Yeah, it's tight in the country right now. I mean, it's the trade war hurts. Imports have went up. Tariffs are hitting farmers.
Yeah.
But to sit here for a organization that is supposed to be representing and helping the U.S. farmer to just throw up their hands and say, "Well, there's nothing we can do about it," it really it's kind of a bad optic for them, but it really leaves a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of people who, like I said, those groups are supposed to be helping you. So
Okay.
no, I don't think it's as bad as what the media has said, Dale. I mean,
Okay.
crush plants are pushing for soybeans. We've got export sales taking place. It's
Yeah.
just
Sounds
not,
vibrant. Sounds vibrant to me.
yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it definitely a little bit of a fallacy there coming in my opinion.
All right, so let's cover wheat. It finally looks pretty good too here, Carl. It's been basing. Look at this. I mean, you know it more than I, watching these prices all the time. I mean, this base started in 22, 23. It's like a 2, 3 year base, and we're starting to come outside. It looks like we bottomed, and we could be in for a run. Is any of this geo about the fear of maybe problems with Ukraine being able to get grain out if this war continues?
Yeah, wheat's been taking some support here. China, we got some problems in the China wheat crop. They've had excessive rain there. Getting the crop planted has been hard. They have some
Okay.
drownouts. There's some issues in their wheat crop. You are right. Ukraine, not only so much for not only so much for Ukraine wheat exports, but we're looking at the Black Sea on a whole deal. And when I look at it, this is one of the uncertainties is we get Russia keeps raising their production forecasts. They keep saying that they're gonna, that they're up to about 87, almost 88 million metric tons soybean crop right now. Um, into that, you've got Ukraine putting out their crop estimates. There's some thoughts in the market from sources in the Black Sea that possibly quite a few of these acres have been double counted. Occupied areas from Russia, they're counting, but Ukraine says it's technically still theirs. So we're seeing some of that. Wheat really taking a lot of support from just global demand. And matter of
Yeah.
fact, China is shopping around for U.S. wheat again. They haven't bought any wheat from us in a year. So to see them
Oh,
come in and
okay.
look at where they might want to buy some is definitely giving that complex some support.
Okay. I also heard that the grain belt in Ukraine had a drought going on too, so their supply wasn't as good. Um, how about running through corn, Carl, before we go? And we'll close with cattle and what the president's doing with bringing Argentine beef in.
Yeah, the corn market really kind of a follower right now. We're still trying to get a good handle on what we saw for corn production, corn yields this year. Um, there's some issues. We had some fungus issues. We had that southern rust that came up through the corn belt this year.
Yeah.
We also had tar spots. Some places in Iowa reports of corn yields down 70 bushels from last year. There's reports that some elevators out in Iowa just simply didn't fill up this year, that their corn crop was small enough. So starting to look at corn a little differently. The USDA and some of the private analysts still around that 185, 186 bushels per acre. The general feel is it's probably going to be a little bit closer to that 181, 182. For simple math, if we take 4 bushels per acre off the yield, we pretty much drop our production by about 400 million bushels. um, we start dropping that, and all of a sudden, carry out is still high if everything else remains steady, but we're back to a position where we're not at a rationing level like we are in soybeans by any mean, but we
Hmm.
are at a point where you have to start watching because corn demand is holding in there really good. Our corn, some of the cheapest in the global market, and it's some of the highest quality, and we can't forget about that. So we got to look at some balance sheets there. Corn not quite as exciting as the soy complex balance sheets, and that's why we've seen a little bit of a holdback there, Dale.
Okay, it's been a decent rally. I mean, it could correct, but I doubt we'll see 380 again. How about you?
Yeah, I would, I'm pretty comfortable saying that obviously the harvest lows are in, and really the
Okay.
dynamics of the market have changed enough that if we go back to 380 something, it was a major black swan event to take us there. And obviously it's pretty
Yeah.
impossible to predict one of those. But with the fundamentals we have right now, that really seems it would take a stretch to get us there.
Yeah, it would probably take a real big deflationary move and things like a financial crisis because, people will sell their gold so they can eat, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to touch a little bit on this live cattle market. And, I used to be a runner on the floor of the CME. And now when I look at the kind of prices that we have in cattle compared to what I was used to when I first came into it, it's unbelievable. So it does look like maybe this move to bring in Argentinian beef is going to have some impact. I know I saw some cattle ranchers pretty unhappy with that. They like the balance of the market. Of course, they would. Why would they want more supply coming into a market that is probably been, isn't it the most prosperous part of agricultural? Uh, the beef and pork markets more than
Yeah,
grain?
cattle have been extremely profitable for guys here. And it's good, our live cattle have really been up there, and we need it because our feeders have been so expensive. And I'm gonna start to the beginning, what got us to where we're at, Dale. And this really started about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We started getting some drought in the southwestern plains,
Yeah,
Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, down into Texas. Uh,
right.
we had 3 years of really heavy drought there, and a lot of ranchers called their herds. They had to, just simply didn't have feed for them. Feed was expensive, couldn't get it. So we saw a lot of culling take place. That ended up cutting the U.S. beef herd down to one of the lowest levels we've seen in the last 50 years, where ranchers just tried to stay profitable. As a result, we saw live cattle start to take off, feeder cattle took off, and beef prices started to rally.
Yeah.
It's truly one of the purest markets for supply and demand that we've seen.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
there isn't as much government interference with subsidies and other types of programs as in grains. They don't have that type of intervention in the cattle market.
and and we really, the thing is, it's the cattle, and it's like dairy. It's a perishable product. You can, we can, yeah, we have cold storage and we have freezers, but you have a product that the farmer can't throw cattle into a bin. You can't hold animals forever. They have to
Right,
move.
right.
And so the thing is, we had some consumer pushback on beef, and beef is expensive. The
Yeah.
thing is, President Trump, his statements on how he stated that cattle ranchers have it too good,
Oh,
the cattle
yeah, yeah.
market, those were the negative points. Because really, Dale, when we look at the bottom economics of it, and bottom line is we set a quota on Argentine beef imports at 80,000 metric tons. Um, that's going to come out basically a million metric tons of beef. It's on 80,000 pounds, you're talking about 170 million pounds of beef. Okay. We have suspended Brazilian beef imports, or not really suspended, but because of tariffs, that we priced them out of the market. We were importing about 450 million pounds of Brazilian beef per year. So the Argentine beef imports aren't even they're about a third of what we were importing from Brazil.
Okay.
It's
So
it's
is it,
not the volume. It's not the volume.
got
It's
it.
the optics of it. The seeing, like you said, Dale, we have one segment of agriculture that was making money, cattle ranchers doing good, and the president tells them that they're making too much money.
Let me ask you, does that burn you when a billionaire says that some group of people have it too good?
Um, I want to know where Donald Trump was in the 80s when we were giving bull calves away because you couldn't sell them and make money on them. The sale barn had,
Yeah.
Donald Trump, and this isn't a political comment, Dale. This is a comment on policy. You can't regulate free markets. And the president is trying to regulate free markets with his comments about beef and the
Yeah.
supply. You can't do that. The biggest lashback is when you tell a U.S. farmer that he's making too much money, but you give $40 billion to a competitor of ours.
Yeah.
That is the final strike for a lot of farmers out here.
Wow. I'll tell you. Really was great to meet you, Karl, and glad that Angie had to be a mom today. I love talking to Angie, and you know what I have to say? How blessed you guys are to be, partners in marriage and business, and you know, enjoy what you do, and you're helping people that you probably grew up with. Um, the only thing I don't envy is the weather that you experience these blessings in. So, really a pleasure meeting you and give my best to Angie. And it's great to see a team like you and Angie being able to make it. Do you guys ever argue? Huh?
Um, our arguments are different. When most families are arguing about who knows what, we're arguing over basis and spreads and
Yeah,
carries.
acreage. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's all business. So, Carl, great to meet you. Have a
Hey,
great fall trading season, and you know what? Maybe next time you and Angie come on, and we could talk about how you guys were able to make it work to work together like this.
well,
Okay?
we'd be happy to do that for you, Dale. We'd look forward to it.
All right. So, Karl Setzer, and here's our website, conusag.net. And you guys put out a letter or anything to for people that have an interest in grains, any kind of writings? Because I know Angie likes to have people follow her. So you could follow these guys on X. Do you have a handle, Carl?
Yeah, mine is Case Setzer Grains
Okay.
on X.
X.
And you
Okay.
can go to our webpage at consusag.net, and there should be a link on there. If you go under the consulting and commentary,
There you go.
either there or the contact, but you can either one. You can sign up for a free. There's your commentary. You can there's a subscribe page, and you can sign up for a free trial. We put out commentary 3 times a day. I put out an early morning market brief that goes out around usually by 8 o'clock Eastern time in the morning. We do an afternoon recap, and then Angie does a video during the day that she puts out on our YouTube channel and also on her
Okay.
TikTok. So we put quite a bit of content out for our subscribers. And like I said, feel free to sign up for a free trial. And if you like it,
Right
it's
here.
less than $35 a month. You can sign up for our content.
I think that you're going to be getting a lot more people from outside the industry having an interest because I think we're in an embryonic bull phase. I think the bear is going back into the cave to hibernate, and you talk about carryover not being great in beans, and I think that they're going to become an asset class that are probably more important than rare earth minerals. How about that? That people don't even realize rare earths are important, but there's nothing more important than being able to put food on the table for you and your family. And thanks for helping people. I've always thought farmers are the bravest guys. They have to go through all the uncertainty of planting and bringing in the crop, and then they don't know when there's bountiful crops. They don't get much for their work and their crop, and when there's scarcity and good prices, they don't have as much to sell. So you have to admire you have to admire people that stay in a business like that. They're risk takers, and an important function that I think America is going to come to appreciate more and more as we go down the road. Thank you, Carl.
You bet. Thank you for having us, Dale.
All right, thanks. So that's a wrap, everyone. Start paying attention to beans and corn and wheat, and this is a great resource for you guys to do it. I know you all have your charts, but you could get some great, as you heard today from Carl, great narratives to give you some ideas on where you may want to do a little bit of trading in ags. So that's a wrap. Don't just count your ears of corn or your bean pods, count your blessings, and we'll see everyone tomorrow.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.